Thank you for joining today. I'll wait just a minute here as people arrive. Got a nice turnout today. So let's go ahead and get started. I think everyone knows, but I try to repeat this each time. A couple of years ago, we have a really in-depth Zen Peacemaker training program that's 18 months, and it's a big commitment and of time and energy and so forth. And we had the idea that, well, there are some, let's say, core trainings that we'd like to offer to everybody and have there be no barrier to entry, to have it be really accessible, have it be free, repeat them, have them not take a lot of time. It doesn't take, this won't take 18 months today. It'll take an hour. And so we identified introduction to meditation, introduction to counsel practice, introduction to the three tenets as our core trainings. And we've been doing this now for a couple of years, but I think it was probably Eve and I that were talking. I don't remember how the idea came up, but we thought, even in our names, Zen Peacemakers, our approach to what peacemaking is, I don't want to be hyperbolic, but it's utterly unique. And we didn't have that included, so we did. And Eve was kind enough to offer to teach this introduction to Zen Peacemaking's approach to Zen Peacemaker's approach to peacemaking. Boy, I got that out, didn't I? So that's what we're doing here today. So we only have an hour, so I won't use up any more time. But thank you very much for being here. All of this we do for free. So if you can help us with donations at the website, and I won't mention that again, but it'll be most appreciated if you can. And so with that, I will turn this over to my friend and my teacher, Roshi Eve Myonin Marko. Thank you, Eve. Enjoy, everybody.
Hi, Geoff. It's nice to see you. And please, Geoff, don't apologize for asking for money. One of our hallmarks is to learn how to ask for money. I can't tell you how important that is. Too many people don't let themselves do things because they say, we don't have money. Why am I not going to the Auschwitz retreat? I don't have money. Why am I not giving for this? I don't have money. And I worked with Bernie Glassman for 35 years, and that is simply not an excuse he ever accepted. And believe you me when I tell you we were pretty broke much of that time. But he said the how did he put it? The wealth of the Buddha is available to us. And when he said that to me, we were broke. And I said, huh? And I tell you, over the years, I've learned he was so completely right. We just keep on, it's always part of that self-attachment. My money, I don't have the account in my account. My credit card is over the limit and so on. Please, take a look at around you. All that he was saying is available to us. So, asking for money, asking for help. Really, I cannot tell you what an important thing that is. And it's so interesting to see how people are scared to ask other people for help or for money. It's part of, certainly, I don't know, we probably have a few non-Americans here, but I think it's true in Europe too, from my experience, and in this country. We have a thing about being financially independent, and we will like not do things and not give ourselves experiences because we need to be financially independent. And he would just shake his head at that. So anybody who did street retreats know that on street retreats you have to ask for money. You have to ask for a cup of coffee. Really, take a look. It's all a matter of giving, receiving, And every time we just stand in our own space and say, I'm just going to use my savings, and if I don't have them, I don't do it, you've actually stopped that current of giving and receiving. So really look at that. I really do think, Geoff, that we should do a whole workshop on giving and receiving. I just made myself as loud as I can. Can you hear me? Great. So again, for the I don't know how many times, I'm doing an hour on what is peacemaking according to the Zen Peacemakers, which really I certainly learned from Bernie Glassman. And one of the reasons I appreciate doing this again and again is because it gives me different things come up for me all the time. I don't know it all, not by a long shot. So I like to share, and doing this helps me explore what else is coming up for me now that didn't come up before. That's how I'm using these. So I am going to bring up a few things later. Specifically, I'm going to bring up love and joy that I don't think, Geoff, I've ever brought up before. But it's become very big for me lately in terms of how we keep resilient, how we keep going. What are we modeling to other people? Are we modeling struggle? They don't need us to model struggle. They know that pretty well themselves. What are we modeling? But for now, I'm going to start with a few basics that I've covered at other times, but they are pretty important basics. And I also want to say that anybody who has questions, please raise your electronic hand. I am definitely going to give space and time at the end for some questions, but sometimes it's really great where we have more of a give and take, and someone raises their hand and says, "Ah, Eve, this is a lot of bullshit," and that's great. You know, that really kind of changes things, and that's when it gets really interesting. So, but let me start with some very basic things about peacemaking in the Zen Peacemaker order. So back in 96, Bernie said, what is peacemaking? And he said, he went back to some Jewish roots and he said, peace in Hebrew is shalom, Arabic salam. Barbara Wegmuller in Europe, her Dharma name is salam. And shalom doesn't just mean peace or hello or goodbye. All of these meanings are part of shalom, but it also means whole. So shalom, peace, but you change a vowel and it's shalem. Shalem, and shalem means whole. Like, let's say, and I know Hebrew because I was born in Israel. If I say ani lo shalem im ze, I'm not. You're saying I am not at peace with it. So shalem means whole, and for Bernie, peace meant whole. Making peace is making whole. How do we make peace? So there's a couple of traditions. I know there's a Hasidic tradition, but also others that say that once the world was all one, and then God, for whatever reason, sort of broke it or fragmented it into fragments, and our job is to bring the fragments together. That's in those traditions. In Zen, we make whole by seeing and experiencing each and everything as being as whole. Everything in and of itself is whole. This little pad is whole. In and of itself, this glass of water is whole. And I'm sure you've either read or you know why that is the case, because if you actually look at how this is made and all the elements that have gone into this wonderful well water that we have, oh, whole, not home, whole, WHOLE. Okay? Um, it's got everything in it. You know it chemically wise, you know what goes into making glass, you know all the efforts to make glass, what it was to, to even dig this well that we have, all the things that come down the slope here. Uh, those of you who practice Zen know that we say 72 labors brought us this food before we eat. Meaning not just 72 labors, all the labors in the world brought us this food. Farmers and truckers and the weather and retailers and wholesalers and distributors and all the animals sometimes used and what's in the soil and what isn't in the soil. Everything has all of life in it. Everything. And the question is, other than thinking about it and analyzing it like that, and who has the time for that anyway, how do we experience it? How do we experience that everything is whole? Each and everything, each and every human being is whole. So, one way is meditation. My friend Ken Byallen, who teaches also a series of classes on the Zen Peacemakers. Geoff, what does he teach, Ken?
He's done the Bernie koans and he's done instructions to the cook.
Yeah,
He's done a couple of them. Yes.
he's a wonderful teacher. I recommend him. Uh, he told me that his latest instructions for meditation are shut up and listen. Isn't that great? Shut up and listen. What is that? Shut up is let all those thinking and the voices and all that, could you let them pass? Just mute them a little bit. Don't worry, they'll come back. Believe me, they'll come back. But mute them a little bit. And now you're in a space that we call, not just us, but we especially call not knowing. It could be this, it could be that, whatever. I'm just sitting there, but I've muted the voices in my head. And then Ken says, shut up and listen. Just listen. When I do that, where I live rurally, I certainly hear birds. And I may hear the coffee machine start up. And I'll hear some sounds of traffic from the road below. In strong, not in the heat we have now, other times I can hear the river flow beneath. I can hear the dog scratching at the door, wanting to come in. And sometimes it's just silent. Not too often, there's still electronic sounds. But you see, now I'm listening. Now I'm listening. You see that? And I'm letting the world in. Instead of staying in this little cell, really prison cell called my mind, my ideas, my important opinions that I go over again and again and again. I'm opening it all up and I'm saying, I'm now just listening to the world. And another synonym we use for that is bearing witness. So first, not knowing, and now bear witness. And the same as when we get up. So of course, this morning I already had a lot to do, especially to go to see a former student, husband is in hospice. She wants to know what to do when he goes. I have to know how to get, I have to use my mind. But, at some point, it just shut up and listen. And as she talks it out with me, of course, it brings back, I lost my husband, it brings back memories and all kinds of things, associations. And I have to remind myself, shut up and listen. And stop judging. Don't compare his family to our family, their home to our home. What happened then versus what this is like. All those things, they have actually, as the older I get, the more I think they're fairly useless, even though they can be sometimes very interesting and exciting. Listen, shut up and listen, or watch as I watch her, or the plot of land they're designating for their family cemetery, and the trees around it. Not knowing, bear witness. And it's when you really get what the importance of the presence here, you almost not inadvertently, but automatically start changing your life. Because you realize that if you're in a rush all the time for this and this and this and this and this, you're not seeing everything coming to you as a whole. Your child may say something and you're saying, yeah, 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 later. Or, and then you'll say, wait a minute, I didn't pay attention. I didn't see her as the whole thing, that moment. Am I living from here up? How am I living am I living so superficially? So making whole, seeing everything that encounters me as whole. The third tenet, not knowing, bearing witness, loving action that comes not out of shut up and listen, out of not knowing and bearing witness. I want to talk a lot about this because this is what we're here for. So for me, making whole, serving the whole, is making peace, is serving the whole. He sometimes called it serving the one body, and in the one body, nothing was excluded, and I mean nothing. Not big corporations, not Silicon Valley, not AI, not Donald Trump, not any of that. Everything is the one body. The minute you get into what is not the one body, you better start looking at that because now you've lost a sense of it. Everything is the one body. So I won't go into, but when we developed Greyston in Yonkers, we worked with companies. And I don't usually wear it, but I'm going to put this up. This is a Buddhist layperson's robe. Very often you see it as black. Mine has different color stripes, and it's 5 different color stripes to show that it includes an entire mandala of life, not just meditation, which sometimes we think of as white, but blue, the intellect, and green is the world of action, and yellow, or in this case it's orange, is resources, money, corporations, generating an income. You see, that's why I'm saying asking for money is a wonderful source of energy. They all give you energy, all of them. And red, which I'll get to, is relationship, community, and the arts. So this Raksu is a reminder to me I'm serving the whole. And I'll give you an example lately of how that translates. It's such an interesting quandary. So some of us in a Zen teacher group, are dealing with a question that you have misbehavior in certain places, and we have adopted some really good processes and procedures for how to deal with misbehavior by a teacher. And it's done locally in the Sangha, and I won't get into all those steps. But now something else has come up. At first, we thought the problem is to penetrate, pierce the veil of silence around misbehaviors and really talk with them very clearly with ethics, grievance procedures, all the things we need for transparency and care. But now something else comes up now, years later, and that is social media. You can't put anything out, even in email lists that are in theory private, without, in my view, just assuming they're going to be right out there for everybody. That's it. It's going to be all over the world. So when we want to talk about someone who misbehaved, how do we do that in a world where now it threatens to go all over the place, including, and it'll very often trigger people who know nothing about it. They don't know how it started. They don't know what the original complaint is. Nothing. I've lived through this. It can start a forest fire that'll very often burn the very people we want to protect. So now what do we do? And some people say, oh, the idea is we always protect, in this case, it was women because of sexual misconduct. We need to protect women. Okay, absolutely. And that was one of the biggest reasons why we instituted processes. But now, what about, however, if you're serving the whole, you have to ask a bigger question. Does this serve the whole? You see, and I don't even have an answer. I'm not looking for answers, but I'm looking to change the way I think and not just say, oh, I have to protect this constituency. I have to protect that. I have to protect that. And I do in my own neighborhood. I work a lot with illegal immigrants. But with all that, how is it serving the whole? And one of the reasons I've stepped back from different circles, because I don't think I can have a social event anywhere without starting to hear people's opinions about that terrible guy in the White House and the terrible government and the terrible this and the terrible that and evil, evil everywhere. That is, I don't see the help in that. I don't see the effectiveness in that. And what I worry about is that in our huge energy to blame, which is against the rule of the Zen Peacemakers, we're not seeing a far, far bigger picture. We're getting into what's visible in that ice, that big iceberg. We're not looking underwater, which is the far bigger thing. So you see how important these questions are. How do I serve the whole, not just him, her? When this woman who I walked with earlier to talk about what they do when her husband dies, the question is, what does he want? Is it just to serve your family? If he had a public role, does he want the public to be involved? How big do you want to do this? How do you serve? How big a constituency do you want to serve? In Zen Peacemakers, I'm serving the whole, not just a piece. And that means, following up from that, it means I don't have enemies. So the man in the White House is not my enemy. His cabinet is not my enemy. I'm Israeli. I've worked a lot in Palestine and all that. Bibi Netanyahu is not my enemy. It doesn't, everybody is the one body. And if you're beginning to treat them like they're not the one body, you better look at that. Really, you better look at that. If anything, I say our practice is to create bridges, to go and find out what troubles people. How have we gotten to this place? What did I miss? Who am I not talking to? If I live in a very homogeneous area and I'm surrounded by college graduates or by professionals, whatever, that's very nice. Who am I not talking to? So what we mean is that rather than staying away from differences, I welcome differences. I welcome them. I welcome different stories. I welcome different ideas. I don't care for anger. I don't care for blame. And my challenge is that when I'm there, how do I interact with that? That I think takes real skill and experience and doing it again and again. I have a family that has very different values from mine because of karma, because of history. And as I say to people, when I worked in Palestine, I used to work there Sunday through Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, which is their weekend, I would come home to my mom, who lived in Jerusalem, a Holocaust survivor, and I didn't know how to do it all. You see how big the differences could be? And I have to admit, it was a very hard thing. Silence was very often the way we did it. Sometimes we didn't. Um, but being with differences is so important. Let me ask you, let me hear a couple of examples. Let me ask you, how many of you have been in a room with very different opinions, people who are very different from you, whether it was political, whether it was work related? What did you do when somebody was very different, and how did you handle it? And how did you handle your own feelings about it?
One thing I've tried to do, I have a brother who has very different views than mine of the world. One thing we've done is um, talk about a book by Teilhard de Chardin, and we find a lot of commonalities with that. So I try to find what we do agree on, or something that we can talk about that we both value. But when you're talking about welcoming the whole, the hard part I have is that there's power differentials. Like when you talk about abusive women, or when you talk about some people getting tax money and others not, there's huge power differential. So I don't see it as an even playing field. When, I can welcome the whole, but how do you account for that?
Yeah, I'm not saying, uh-oh, let me just see what there's somebody saying, talking about. Ah, thank you very much for posting, and thank you, Connie, for speaking up. I appreciate that a lot. There's a lot of things that need work. That's why we're here. I like to say, we each are an upaya. An upaya is a skillful means. Each of us is different, and therefore each of us is our own skillful means that we can do something. I can't do everything. When I say serving the whole, I don't mean, oh, I'll do everything, but there's always an awareness. Now, what is this awareness? This is important when I say the whole or one body. You may picture, oh, it's the entire globe, the entire universe with all the trillions of stars, which I know nothing about. And how am I going to be effective with trillions of stars anyway, right? That's not what I mean by one body. What I mean by the whole in one body goes back to how we started. Shut up and listen. You know how when I meditate, or when I just, even as I walked with this woman talking about the upcoming death of her husband, I wasn't aware of the whole universe. No, one body. I simply, the minute I let go of my thoughts and ideas and all that, anger, blah, now I'm really aware. I'm aware of every little thing around. She's even more aware because she's lived, she can go and point and notice, and every single mosquito, every single this and every single little grass here and what's this. It's so interesting to walk with her because she is so much more aware than I am. But I'm more aware than usual because I've let go of these ideas, you see? And then, not through my brain, but through something else, I have a much bigger awareness. Does that mean that I'm not aware of income disparities, wealth disparities, the suffering just next door in Turner's Falls with the people who can't work in farms? I'm aware of that too. And I say, I'm going to help that. I can't do everything. I'm going to help that in some way. But by letting go of what I'm always thinking about, believe it or not, that's my get out of prison cell card. Oh, there's a whole thing here. And I'm just kind of finding my way. But in that whole thing, and it's usually staring me in the face, I see what needs to get done at this moment, at that moment. What needs my skills? That's what I mean by whole. It's not some big abstraction. It's not even those great, what do you call those circles that Kaz does?
And so,
And so it's not that. It's not, it's beautiful, his work, but it's something you can experience. You don't have to believe me. Experience it. Walk around, do something where you don't have to think, and and now look at what happens to your awareness. Look what happens. Look at what happens. Look at what happens. Now you have an awareness of the whole. Not when you're trying to figure all the bigness of it. That's our brain can't do that. Can't do that, you see. So with everything else, yes, I'm very aware of what's going on in this, and so I do what I can. And yet I do it out of my belly, not out of my brain all the time. I use my brain to do certain things, to write, ask for money. I did a pitch for money for the immigrant families on Friday, all these things. But my awareness is way bigger, and only I can control it. It's not a function of reading more newspapers. It's not a function of reading more books. It's a function of letting go. And now you've let go and the whole world is there. Where are you? Connie, does that respond in some way to your concern?
It didn't answer a question, but it got me thinking about a different way of listening.
Okay, I'll take that for now. And if there's time later, we can go back, okay? Is that all right? Okay, thank you. Because I see that now Karen has a hand up.
Yeah, thank you. And I think I'm pretty much just going to say what you just said, is I may be in a room full of people, some of whom I may disagree with, some of whom I may not, but there's typically a person right in front of me and to both model humanity and shut up and listen to that person in front of me is what I can do in that room, and not go to the conceptual kind of abstract us versus them. And also just, and particularly since the election, just getting up every morning and say, how can I serve today? How can I model something more human with everybody I encounter and with the work that I do? So pretty much what you said.
Thank you very much for that. Let me go on, because I want to get to the piece that is so important to me. I want to say, how don't we make peace in the Zen Peacemakers? We don't do it out of shoulds. I should do more. I should sleep less. I should whatever. That's been one of my biggies, and I've had to work on it my entire life. I should. There's and let's look underneath it all. So several days ago, I ran over a squirrel. I live rurally. As far as I know, it hasn't happened in quite a while, but it did. In the middle of the day, I was going on this great concrete road driving, and what looked like a twig on the road, a great twig, at the very last minute, started moved one way, then changed its mind, and I felt my car going over it. Now, it was interesting because I watched my brain. And so first of all, the first thing was just pain. It was as if somebody put a rod through my belly when I felt going over this mound. But then I watched and I looked at my brain saying, look what you did. Oh, you should have what? I was not speeding. I was wide awake. My brakes work, but it was impossible to brake at that point. I'm still able to drive. My vision is okay. But I noticed how quickly the call came. Oh, you should. And then I said, should what? And I realized, yeah, of course, if I had not, those are things to take care of if I was speeding or whatever. But sometimes there's a call to feel guilty, to say, oh, you should. You should. Well, for what reason? And what I think underlines a lot of that is our sense of wanting to be in control. We want to believe that somehow in our power, we could control things and nothing bad will happen. It's just not true. Bad things will happen. People will die young. Homes will be burned. Kids will be hungry. Things will happen. So to in some way feel that we should control it, I think is antithetical to the way life is, to reality. Joan Halifax, when she does retreats, it says, oh, is the thing there on the schedule. The schedule is subject to reality. I really loved it. And that's true for us. We're subject to reality. What's this should business? Yes, if there's something for me to correct it. But what else is this should? How much control do I really think that I have? I couldn't even control a little squirrel. I couldn't do that. So I just wanted to say, the minute you start detecting this should, I think that we're off when we do that. Finally, I want to get to this. This is very important. When the rule of Zen Peacemakers was first formulated, I believe, and I don't have the original documents. I was there, but who remembers? I'm pretty sure after not knowing, bearing witness, the terminology, we will take holistic action because we wanted to match something about how you serve the whole. And then in 98, it was changed to loving action. Loving action. And I remember exactly how it was. My husband, he wasn't my husband then, he was married to Jishu Holmes, and she died really quickly. So different people visited, and once at a meeting with Sharon Salzberg, who came to say hi to him, he came out of that meeting and said, I want to change a third tenet. I think it should be loving action. Loving action. And Zen needs more love. And Zen needs more joy. And a friend of mine, Bob Rosenbaum, I did a series on aging, and if you were there at all, you might have met Bob. He's a Zen teacher, a Qigong master, a neuropsychologist, a scholar, and a man who also has a big physical illness. And it's just a wonderful person. And he told me this story. He said, as my psychology practice, I got to a point where I just had no more patience for patients. I mean, I just couldn't deal with it anymore. Whatever happened, I just didn't like this person. I didn't like that person. I felt it was all a dead end. And I go to a conference of neuropsychologists in Las Vegas. And we walk in the casino part of the hotel. And as you know, what we call in American English, the one-armed bandits, the machines where you move the lever down and, you know. And we walk around that, and I say to my friend, God, people don't look happy with this. And my friend came to a stop, turned to me and said, Bob, have you looked at a Zendo lately? Have you looked at a meditation hall lately? He said, tell me, how much fun, how much joy is there in the Dharma? And Bob was really amazed by that. Like, yeah, like, is my Dharma, is the Dharma like full of life? Does it have joy? I remember hearing from Bernie that back in the very early years of Zen, in Zen Center of Los Angeles, many teachers came from the East. Thich Nhat Hanh came, and they all sat together, and Bernie told me Thich Nhat Hanh sat with a smile on his face. My Zumi Roshi, who I knew also sat like this. And that's how everybody else sat. Because you're sitting with your eyes looking down, and that's it. So, tell me, is the Dharma enjoyable? Or is it very serious? What is it? And if it doesn't give you joy, what are you doing it for? And I want to say, I forgot. Think about when you have joy. Oh yes, I didn't even finish my story with Bob. Bob said, boy, that really hit me. So he comes back and he promises himself, and I have literally, I have it, I have it here. He said, how can I enjoy myself doing this? He wrote it. How can I enjoy sitting? How can I enjoy teaching? How can I enjoy my therapy practice? So he started making a point when I have this and it's, really tough patient. What can I enjoy here? He says, well, guy has such an interesting tattoo on his chin. That gives me, that's interesting. That's fun. The woman is wearing these really funny earrings. That's fun. Or if he sees them, he sees this, he sees that. And he says, I feel joy when I see this. Now, he said the funny thing is that the more I got into that, they started responding more. They started feeling more joy. And the whole process started getting much healthier and happier. And everybody worked better. because there's something contagious about joy. Imagine you're going, you're seeing someone, or imagine if you have little kids and they get, oh, Dad, this and this and this happened. And remember how contagious that is? That isn't just because they're your kids. Imagine your friend saying, hey, this happened, that happened. What do you say about this? Don't you really like that tomato? Boy, the corn this summer is really good. You know, you see, it's all one body. So when somebody is like that, you feel the same. You feel the same. And the same with love. So I'm aware that love fails us at times. We cling, we lust, we want. Usually it fails because we want something for ourselves in some way. And in and of itself, that's not wrong. But love is when the other is not an object. The other is not an object. So think of that. Look at, love is also contagious. I took my housemate to the hospital. Yeah, she has it doesn't matter, disability. And as she had this whole big cast removed from her leg, they brought in a little girl with her parents who evidently had broken her arm. So the arm was in a big cast, like this. And now they were going to take it. And if you know how big, thick casts are now removed, they literally bring like not an electric saw, but some kind of thing that makes the cut through a very deep cast. And you hear the buzz, and it is not fun. So the technician is explaining to her, this is what we do. We're not going to touch you. Don't worry. And the little girlie like that. And we watch her, and sure enough, she's fine. And then when we get up, I say to her, the little girl, I say, wow, you are so brave. And Lori says, Eve, she's not brave. She is super brave. And I said, no, 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 Lori, she's not super brave. She's brave. And it's just, and the parents cheer up, and the technician cheers up, and the other people getting their things done, they're all clapping. You might think, I used to think for years that, that's other people. That's my friend Michelle Dobbs, some of you know, who is so funny and it's like you can't have 2 minutes with Michelle without him making you laugh. But that's not me. I've always been a pessimist. I'm such a glum person. And Bernie was so full of playfulness. You know, I am training myself towards joy. Just like Bob said, I want to do something that I find joy in it. And that's usually what it is. I don't know how many things are joyful in and of themselves. It's what I bring to the picture. And then it spreads. For me, that is serving the whole. I don't have to write about it. I don't have to talk into a microphone about it. I don't even have access to the jokiness of Michelle. But I know I can have access to joy and to love. And I'm really glad that we at least began to restore love into Zen peacemakers. Think of how the struggles around you. Do you really think people need to see you struggling more and more? We know the shoulders hunched under the burden, and look what we're carrying. We're feeling so bad for everybody. And you really think people need that? You think that's serving the one body? Think that serves anybody? Except for people who want you to agree with them. No, that's not what I want to model anymore. Yeah, when we're in love, we want everybody else to be in love. When we feel joy, we want everyone to feel that. And Bernie Glassman worked his butt off. He worked to exhaustion. But he very rarely did I ever, and I was married to him. I was his third wife. Very rarely did I ever see him without joy. I think there are a couple of occasions that were so tough for him that he was not happy. But I gotta tell you, most of the time, this guy was playful. He didn't need much for happiness. He wanted his cigar, to go out, to drive out to find a slice of pizza for lunch and smoke a cigar with the dogs in the back seat in his car. And he was happy and he exuded that. And he was a joker. He trained as a clown. He felt clowning is crucial for peacemaking. And I can talk a lot more about that, but I won't. Okay. Yeah. It's that young boy, the story, the boy whose people say, what do you want to be when you grow up? And the boy says, I want to be happy. I want to be happy. Isn't that our path? And when we're happy, even when we're just a little happy, and we can find that, others will be that. That is a wonderful way of serving the whole. Okay, I'm going to stop now because we only have 8 more minutes. But please, if you have questions or comments or whatever you want, please, please.
I think we can see everybody, so if you want to just raise your hand or raise your electronic hand, either way. Ocean, Mary Lynn.
Hello.
Yamima Avital is really mystic. And she ties right into what you're
Say the
saying,
name
Eve.
again. Say the name again.
Yamima Avital.
Uh-huh,
So she says, get a Sabbath place in your mind, to be joyful and happy. So I envision a prairie, and that helps. When I go into a synagogue where there's Gentiles and Jews, and they're pro Netanyahu and they're pro Trump and they're pro everybody else. And so that helps me look at them with love, and it keeps my blood pressure down. If I imagine myself on a prairie and that every single organism has a right to live, then the other thing is, I've read a lot of Rumi, and Rumi, when he was living in Turkey, always bowed to everything. He bowed to animals, and he bowed to kids, and he bowed to adults. And so I go out in my yard and I'll bow to the frogs and the toads and the ducks and the trees. I'll bow to sentient beings. Then I'm down. Then my ego's gone more, My ego's a little more annihilated, so I can have a clear mind to be able to just look at everybody with a nimbus of holiness around their head. And that's hard to do, but it's good work. And I'm so appreciative of everything you're saying, Eve. Deep bows to you. Thank you.
And let me just add this, when we do what you just described, or it's another version of shut up and listen, it's letting the world in is a reminder of how much is being done for each of us, to which we give very little. Believe you me, you just shut up and listen, and you realize it ain't your salary that created these trees, this sky, this sun, the funny little dog that's scratching at the door and yelling to be let in, it wasn't your creations, whether you're a writer or you're an AI person or you're a great, hey man, that's wonderful. But take a good look at this world and you'll see, wait a minute, exactly what am I complaining about? Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Anyone else? We have a few more minutes.
Ocean, I think you had waved your hand before. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Geoff. And Geoff, I love the podcast you do. They're great. Thank you, Eve. Thank you all for this. And at the end, it's all about love. So may all beings be happy. Love you all, and let's spread our love wherever we are and the way we can. So thank you so much. It was an honor for me to meet Eve. I love her. I've read a lot about her, and it's an honor to be here. So first time. Thank you so much, all of you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. All of you add, even if you've been silent, you've added so much. Just even with your faces on screen, putting your face on screen is a real gift for everybody. I say this even as I'm aware there are people who don't have their faces on screen, but you're bringing your own presence and you're listening and seeing the faces, and you're taking them in. That's attention, and you all know that's a deep form of love. Money is a form of love, but nothing beats attention. Nothing. Is there anyone else who'd like to say something before we call it a day?
I just would like to say that what you're speaking about really reminds me of Joanna Macy's work, um, uh, because she talked about, the possibilities for the future, but she talked about, business as usual, and then the great unraveling of all of that, but then the great turning. But what I really love is that when she did a podcast with one of her students recently, the podcast said, "We are the great turning." And it really speaks to what you're saying about coming forward with joy, with love, but also with the fullness of ourselves. So that when we are sad or we do feel vulnerable, we bring that too, so that others can relate to that, and we can help each other. And so it brings me back to this place of, the work is inside so often, and that such incredible magic happens when we show up with that presence, so that whatever we do, if it's cleaning the streets, whatever we do, if it's walking into the grocery store, we come with that authentic presence that welcomes all of it. I think it's really hard work sometimes for me, but I feel like it's got such, and sometimes it sounds too simplistic, but I really feel like that's what's going to heal the world, is if we can do that work ourselves, and then we bring it to each other, so that the others can reflect, we can reflect it in others, but they can see who they are too. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you bringing us back to that. Thank you for that.
I appreciate your evoking, Joanna. I think that it's very hard to make peace in the world unless you find some peace inside yourself. Believe me, I think that the inside will reflect outside. And if you're not there, I think that's well worth looking into. I know we're at 1, but Bettina has her hand up. So of course, if you're leaving, please, that's fine. And support Zen Peacemakers. And I'm going to be here to listen to Bettina Weiser.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. Just very shortly, what came up with me was the Gates of Sweet Nectar, which Krishna Das wrote and find a melody for it. And Bernie Glassman, he was talking with him, and the last verse was original with Krishna Das. The last verse was get around and share this meal to the sorrow of the world. And Bernie said, no, there has to be also the joy and the sorrow. And that was so, yeah, I think that came up. And I love this, the melody and also the song. So
Yeah, the original line is gather around and share this meal. Your sorrow I make mine. That's
yeah,
what KD wrote.
yeah,
And Barry says, no, Krishna Das. It's your joy and your sorrow I make mine. That's
yes, and that's it's also Krishna Das is a bhakti, and he loves the love and the devotion, and it's all together. It's a sort of wholeness, I think, also.
Yeah.
Different paths, but whole.
yes, yes.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you everyone, and be well and go on. Yeah.
Thank you all for staying. Eve, thanks so much for giving us your heart and your attention and your teaching. And I encourage everybody, join Zen Peacemakers. You can do it in 30 seconds. It's free. Be sure to sign up separately for the newsletter because we do things like this every week, sometimes 2 or 3 times a week. So there's quite a lot going on. So the newsletter will tell you what's coming when. So hope to see you again, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Well.